Welcome back to We Are Old, Get Over It. This podcast is an interview with Susan Rice, not the politician, but the comedian. This interview will give you insight into a well-known stand-up comedian. Visit YouTube to see more of Susan's stand-up acts. You can contact her at comediansusanrice@gmail.com, all one word, or visit her YouTube collection. Her channel, Susan Rice, one word, 3033. Listen, view, but enjoy her humor. She is old, but does get over it. Thanks for tuning in. And if you have any comments or suggestions, drop me an email at weareoldpodcast@gmail.com. Ken out.
How long?
Well, I saw you in Naples, Florida, and when I saw you in Naples earlier this month, the place was filled with women, and I said, "What's going on here?" But after I heard you, I understood why. Because I kept saying I was laughing at things, but never as hard as the women around me were laughing. How long have you been doing stand-up comedy, and what made you decide to start it?
I've been in stand-up in March will be 43 years. To comment on what you said, the room was full of women, and coming from a white male, that makes me laugh a little bit, because one of the reasons there was so many women there is because the number one thing that I get from the people that write me these lovely, lovely, lovely long emails and DMs is, "Thank you. I feel like I'm being seen."
Wow, that's great.
So that's why there were so many women there, because the older we get, the more invisible we get.
Well, you know what?
It's really nice that that I'm supported by the gals that I represent.
That's great. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
We have a little glitch in the.
That's all right. It'll clear out.
No, we have a little glitch in the. You're glitching out on me. You live in Florida?
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. I have a lot of glitches, by the way.
How long have I been doing it, and how long?
Are we going to start this all over again?
I know. Yeah, we're paying for them.
Hi, Susan.
Anyway,
go ahead. How long have you been doing this, and why are you doing it?
Right. I've been doing it almost 43 years in March. I was a professional actress, not making a lot of money, but I was making some money. I went to acting school, and I was trained, and at the ripe old age of 27, I was always being cast as the grandmother.
Really? Did you have gray hair back then?
No, I was 27. My boobs were where they were supposed to be. Everything was fine, but I was always, and I just could never get, and I was always put into the comic relief role in any shows and stuff I did. I played men. I played, but I had a hard time staying on script, because if I thought there was a better line, I would add it.
Interesting.
Which was not, it was frowned upon. So I wrote a one-woman show, which was a big deal back then. It was a cabaret show, and I needed someplace to work it out. Now, not to say that I had never been an aficionado of stand-up comedy. I loved stand-up comedy. I would sneak down the hall. My mother would, when Jack Parr, even when Steve Allen was on, when I was little, she would come down and get me out of bed to see Toady Fields.
Really?
Or to see, or to see, later on, it was Jonathan Winters on Jack Parr. And, and then it was, Bob Newhart and all these wonderful comedians. And Mort Saul, all these people. And so, and I would actually sit with my pillow in the hallway watching the television while she was out there watching the TV. And I would watch all that. And of course, and then Ed Sullivan, I watched Carlin's first, the Wacky Weatherman.
Yes.
I watched all those. And I was just, but once I stepped on the stage in a little place called the Leaky Roof Tavern in Portland, Oregon, which you could put about 20 people in it and 10 of them were standing. Once I stepped on that stage, I never went back to theater.
Wow. That's amazing.
Never went back.
That's really great. Okay. Let me ask you a couple of questions. First question.
Okay.
You ready? This is a test. I don't have the number.
I have my number 2 pencil.
There you go. Perfect. What's the single most absurd or embarrassing thing that has happened to you while on stage?
Oh, there's so many. So very many. Okay, well, it wasn't funny, but it was a big lesson.
Okay.
It taught me one of my biggest lessons.
Okay.
I was working at the Laugh Stop out in Newport Beach in LA. It was a late show, and the stage was fairly high, and there was this table of young girls sitting right up front, and there was crutches that were leaned against the stage, and there was 3 gals sitting there, and I must have been dying. I must have been scrambling because I would normally not go to the audience, but this was probably the 3rd show that night. So it meant it was probably around midnight. And I found myself kind of wondering, and I looked down at the crutches and I looked at this gal. I said, "Oh, did you break your leg or did you hurt yourself?" And she goes, "No." And I said, "Oh." And she said, I said, did you sprain your ankle?" "No." She had a hat on and she's inside. And I wouldn't let it go. And the audience got really quiet because the audience, as drunk as they were, figured it out before I did. And I said, "Well, what's with the crutches, bitch?" She goes, "Oh, I lost my leg." And
that's pretty embarrassing.
And the audience all just leaned in going, "Yeah, let's see her get out of this one."
What did you do?
I said, "Well, now you're going to see a fat girl tap dance as fast as she can." She goes, "No, it's okay." I go, "No, it's not okay. I need to be better at this." And I was just humiliated. She was very gracious. Her friends wanted to string me up on a stick, and I totally got it. And I bought her drinks. I said, "Can I pay off your student loan? What can I do?" I was just humiliated. I was so, that was not, what else have I? Oh, I've had a woman, at a comedy show that I did here in Portland. It was kind of a theme show and it was kind of an advice show. And I was closing the show out, and then I would take questions from the audience. They wanted me to take questions from the audience. And I said, okay. I don't know if I could give decent advice, but okay, sure. So there was some questions after and one of them was a guy that wanted to do stand-up and that kind of stuff. And the next one was this beautiful table of young women, beautiful, sitting right up front. This woman looked at me and she said, what do I do if I hate my baby? And that stumped me. I went, "You hate your baby?" She goes, "I hate my baby." I said, "How old is the baby and what are you doing here?" And it was less than 3 months old. And I had to step back. The audience was just like, and I had to do 2 different things. I had to bring this woman around and I had to calm the audience down because they were like, like this. And I said, okay, now we're out of the comedy realm now. Now we need to do some damage control here. So, and we have to help this girl. And she had never heard of postpartum in her whole life. She'd never heard of postpartum depression. And I turned to her friends and I didn't directly at her. I said, "You have to get her to the hospital right now. And you have to have her hormones checked. And you have to get her into her GP, into her gynecologist." I mean, those are the things that you just never know are coming at you at a comedy show. You just never know. And people will tell you things that are so very personal, but that if they're coming to you, they're at the end of their rope. They don't
Yeah,
know anybody else. They have nobody else. And because as this happens with my hair is getting grayer, people come to me and they think I'm going to give them wise advice.
exactly.
And big
Age,
mistake.
because after you start talking about your body and your gray hair and all the things you've done, they figure that you have the wisdom. And it's pretty frightening that people in the audience are so emotionally wrapped up in other things that they look to you, end-up comedian, to give them answers. I think
Well,
it's amazing.
I think it when it happened, when it kept happening, and after shows, people come up and tell me very personal stories, and usually they're young people. And what I have actually come to believe is true is that I grew up. I was lucky enough to grow up with old people in my life. I grew up with my grandparents living right down the street from me, and these kids have been so fractured that nobody has an abuela. Nobody has they don't have that generational stepladder. They can go to their sister, go to their mother, go to their grandmother, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Especially women. So they go to their peers who are as dumb as they are. And so when they see somebody that they think they can trust, which is lovely for me, it's a lovely thing to have people think that they can come up and tell me their deepest, darkest secrets.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I have, 85 other people I have to make sure are not going to, start throwing stuff.
Right. And
Anyway, yeah.
you have a set, like if you're gonna do a set, which is what it's called, I guess, and you have a preset series of jokes and stories that you're going to tell. Isn't that
Yeah.
correct? And
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
long does it take you to perfect what you feel most comfortable with as your set? How long are your sets generally? 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes?
Um, when I'm contracted for a club or a, a corporate or a theater, I'm usually contracted from 45 to an hour. And uh, I have a lot of material, but the internet now has completely everything moves so fast. And back in the day, when you did Carson or you did Leno or you did Letterman, for that 5 minutes that you did, if you got 5 minutes, which was rare, it's usually around four, um, you burn it. You didn't do it again. You couldn't do it again. That was done. And so you would go to club work and you get work off of that, but you couldn't do that 5 minute set that unless people absolutely requested it.
Right.
It was really bad form. Well, try doing that after you've done, half an hour on a don't tell internet thing. And that's the feeling I have, is that I came up in the old school, but everybody tells me, no, 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 you can do the material you did on the internet. Well, millions of people have seen that stuff.
Yes.
And it's this balance I have to work. So I have, yes, I have a lot of material. I don't know how many hours I have, but we were laughing the other day. Somebody said, well, you could pull out the old stuff. And I said, nobody knows who the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh is anymore. Nobody knows. I can't talk about Ronald Reagan. Nobody knows who he is. I mean, that's how far back. I mean, I go back. I'm going back, I'm going back to the 80s, for God's sake. So no, you can't, um, I was in Kansas City when the Challenger blew up, working a club. You know what I'm saying? You can't go back there. You gotta, you gotta go forward. And so the writing now is a little harder. So
Right.
it's more about my, like I told a story, I think in Naples that happened that day, is I went to a Bob Evans. I stopped to get lunch when I pulled into town, and Bob Evans was right by the hotel I was staying at. And so I went in and I went to open the door, and three older ladies. I mean, I'm old. They were older than me, but they came out and just as they're coming through the door, without saying hello or thank you, they just started listing off the litany of diseases and inflictions that they had, why they couldn't open the door. It's like, oh, thank you. I have this. She didn't even say thank you. She goes, I've got a bad knee. I got bad this. I got that. I got that. And the next one comes through and I got this and I got that. I'm going, I have never opened a door for medical history before in my whole life. It was hysterical. And I started living and go, I'm in Florida.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Well, you know what?
Nobody says hello. They just go, I can't tell you how sick I am. I got this. I got that. I go, okay.
Well, just for example,
I started laughing going, that's me.
When you're testing a joke or something like that, do you have a go-to person or go-to people that you try it on and see what they think about it? No? You shook your head. I had to get the answer now.
Not now, because I don't have access. I had for 18 years when I started in Portland. 3 years into stand up, I moved to LA, and I lived in LA for almost 13 years. And when I came back to Portland, I came back for two reasons. First of all, the road had dried up. The shift was happening and it was difficult, and LA was expensive. And so I came back to Portland also because I had been working for 10 years with a really bad gallbladder, and I needed insurance and I needed to get things taken care of. So I came back to Portland, and my best friend put me to work part-time, saying, when you need to go do stand-up, just go. You still have health insurance and you can come back. It was a wonderful company. It was called Hannah Anderson. And so I found a community, because I'm working with the public, and there's nothing funnier than being on the phones with people, because they will tell you everything.
Yes, you're
and
right.
I found, and then I had this whole call center that I could, if I had a thought, I would try it out on them. I would say something conversationally to see if there was a reaction. And that was golden. That was golden to have that. But now I've retired from that, and no, that doesn't,
Okay.
I don't I have some great comedy friends that I play with.
Okay. What's the one joke or bit you wrote that you thought was brilliant, but just completely bombed every time you used it? Should I skip that question? It's like a test, right?
Did I mention I'm 74? I can't tell you how
Yes,
many.
and you told me it was your birthday. It was your birthday when you were in Naples, right? I'm 76, so we're close in age.
Yeah.
So
I can't. I mean, there's I know there's one that I worked, I tried and it just couldn't get it to. There's some punchlines in a couple jokes that I keep or some bits that I keep, because the rest of the bit's really good, but I can't get the rototill joke to get the laugh I need.
They don't know what a rototill is.
It's amazing. I'm talking about horseback riding, and I get bounced off the back of the horse. I get my earring caught in the tail. I get drugged for 100 feet. Like, my tits can rototill.
Right.
Which is funny. To me,
it is funny.
It's hysterical. It's very visual. That's the other thing, is our generation is very visual, because we grew up with cartoons.
That's interesting. I never thought of that. That's really interesting.
Cartoons that were written by Mel Blanc, who was throwing adult humor at us left and right.
Brilliant.
But these kids are not as visual. They don't see the action that I'm talking about.
Right.
They don't see it. It has to be presented to them in story form. It's an interesting. You can always tell an older crowd will do better with some of my jokes because they're more visual than other people are.
That's really
And we grew up with radio, and radio, you had to visualize everything.
Right. You had to use your imagination.
You listen to The Shadow and all,
Mm-hmm.
Dagwood and Molly. Anyway, yeah, all those radio shows that my grandparents used to listen to, and I'd sit and play in color on the floor and listen to all these great radio shows. My grandmother, when they got finally got a TV, she put a big pot, a big, planter pot under the TV set. And I was over there playing one day, and she says, "Don't look in that pot." And I said, "Why?" She says, "That's where that's where all the dead Indians go when they do the westerns."
How old were you when that
never,
happened? You never used
I
that
was
line.
probably,
How old were you?
7 or 8. I was
But
probably
you still
7.
remember that, don't you?
Oh my God, I didn't look in that pot for years. I was like, no, that's where all the dead things go when they fall out of the TV set, when they die. Honest to God. My grandmother was from Ireland, and she had little Irish rosy cheeks. She was just hysterical. She was so funny. But of course, she was pulling my legs. She knew, but I was that stupid. And so she was having
You were
fun
a
with a
kid.
dumb kid.
Yeah. I mean,
My
you
God,
were just one stage above believing in Santa Claus.
Oh, I believed in Santa Claus till I was almost 13. So
Oh, okay.
I'm just like, I was like, no, this is Santa. But anyway, no, it's very funny. But again, very visual. We were very visual. We had to imagine things. So
Very
I noticed
perceptive.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got another
go
question
ahead.
for you.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
the strangest or most surprising location you've ever been asked to perform a set? Are these questions too tough for a 74-year-old woman? That's what I need to know.
No,
Oh, okay.
there's just so many. There's so many. I was working in Iowa, and
Well, that's a story in itself.
Yeah. I was working in Iowa, not Rapid Cities. What's the other one? Cedar Rapids. I was working in Cedar Rapids. And I'd been there many, many times. Nice people. But this young guy who was running the club, he and his dad were running the club, said, "Oh, listen, our club is participating in the festival in town. And we want you to perform. We're going to give you just do 15 minutes at this festival, and we'll pay extra money." Well, I'm there. I went, okay, sure. I don't know. So they get me there. There's pigs in this
Where you're
corral.
going in a corral. So you're
And then
performing
there's
in
a
a
stage
corral.
in the middle. There's a stage. There's a stage in the middle of this corral surrounded by pigs with a microphone. And they made me they said, "We want you to wear this pig nose."
Hey.
Now, at that time, I'm a big gal now, but I was much bigger for many years since I was a kid because of my bad knees. But that broke my heart. I just couldn't, I was like, I can't do that. I can't, my self-esteem just could not take that. That's what, it just couldn't take that. I said, I won't wear the nose. And they go, "Well, could you just put it up here?" No, you don't. I'm not getting in the pig pen with the pigs. Anyway, and I don't eat pork, so that's the other thing. But anyway, so that was one. Another one was they wanted me to climb. Most comics have had to perform at one time or another on a pool table.
It's in a bar, I presume.
Because the venue is, it was a big brew pub, and they had part of an Etzel that the old car Etzel, they had cut it in half and put it like it's coming through the wall. And then there was all these pool tables. And then there was audience kind of around the pool tables. I was like, and this was a chain of a fairly nice hotel chain that was doing this. And they had this big bar. And they had no way for me to get up on the pool table.
Okay.
And then I found out that the plywood that they had put on this pool table was 1/4 of an inch.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm going to go through this plywood. This is not going to hold me. And how am I going to get on this? Those are humiliating things. And those are, yes, I was asked to do things like that. That was
too much.
It's
So wait a second. But did you
Well,
do it?
and I
No,
I
wait a
will say
second.
not all.
Did you do it? Did you
No,
get up?
no, I
Oh, you
didn't do it.
didn't.
No.
Okay.
I couldn't, I couldn't, you know, self-preservation does kick in. And the
Yes.
problem is that I had no way of gracefully getting up on this stage and then getting off of this pool table. And they had this little tiny ladder that was not, it was dangerous. And the way I got out of it, I said, oh, I'll be happy to do that. Let me call my lawyer. And they said, what? I said, because when I fall, I'm going to own this place. This is so against OSHA. This is so against, and I started, telling them you are in violation of so many things right now. And they backed off and they said, we'll put something together. So they put milk cartons. Don't get me started. I finally just ended up doing the show on this, leaning against the Etzel, standing in a space about this wide. I put my feet there and I leaned against the Etzel and I did my show like this, leaning against the Etzel.
Well, you
That was,
managed to get through.
Yeah.
Do you have a ritual that you go through before you start? Like, I know there's always a warm-up act for someone like you because you're fairly well known. I would say better than
Yeah.
fairly well known.
Well, I've been a warm backs for lots of people, but yeah, but no, no, I'm not. But do I have a ritual? Yeah, I listen to the audience. I want to sit close, either behind the scenes, either in the back of the room
Mm-hmm.
or in back of the stage. I want to listen to the audience to
Because
see
that's going to help
if they're
you
chatty.
with your. Is that going to help you when they're listening to another
I want to know how
comedian?
warmed up they are.
Yeah,
I want to know how warmed up they
That's
are. I want to
interesting.
know if they're buying this, or if there are people that are television people and they just sit and watch. They don't react because they don't go to live things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's fine, but I have to approach them in a different way. If they're quiet, I know that either they're having a good time or they're bored stiff. So I have to find out when they're not responding the way they probably should normally. They're either cold and they need to turn the heat up, or they're hot and they need to turn the AC on, or their TV audio. I mean, there's a lot of different things that, and so then when I was really good, in my peak, I would adjust my opening by listening to the audience. I'd go, okay, I'm not going to open with that. I'm going to open with this.
Can I ask you a
Because
question?
they need to be. Mm-hmm.
I think you're at your peak now.
Sure. No.
No. Well,
No.
why do you say
I'm a
that?
character now. No, it's fine. It's fine. No, we all have stages.
Huh?
Um,
Explain that to me.
I'm a technician. Fortunately, I wish I was not. It was probably what hurt me in acting. I'm a technician. I know how to get a laugh. I know how to get a reaction, but there's not much behind that. In comedy, that works because I can be three jokes ahead of myself in my head, going, okay, after this, I'm going here. After this, I'm going here. After this, I'm going here.
Okay.
But my best years as a writer and a performer were in my 40s, my mid 40s, mid 40s to 50s, because I was quick, I was sharp, I was fast. I could move between audiences. I could go 3 different ways at any given moment and still be on tack. Now it's hard. It's harder. It's harder only because I don't have that brain power. I mean, I just don't have the snap that I had
Right.
then. And that's fine. And I've as my friends all tell me, and my comedy friends, which is really wonderful, is they go, you finally grew into your act, Rice. And I went, you're right. I've grown into my act. I've become that person So I'm kind of a character now, and that's fine. I don't mind it. But thank you for saying that you think I think I'm doing okay. But when I compare myself, which comics compare themselves and don't think they don't. I'm looking at the Don't Tell kids coming up now, and these, I mean, there's some brilliant writing going on, and I'm so jealous
Right?
that I can't work that fast. I am really jealous that I can't work that. I can't go, oh, why? That's a perfect way to go approach that subject. And
Right.
why didn't I come up with that kind of thing? So it's, it's that kind of thing.
Okay, I have one other question for you, and then we'll kind of end the podcast unless you have
Okay.
something else to say to me.
Okay. No,
Are you?
I'll go on and on.
Yeah, that's okay. I like that. When you're recognized in public, what's the most awkward thing a person does or says, or do you come up with a joke right then? What do you do?
Well, depending on the situation where I am, like I took my car in to get it serviced. I've had it for a year, and I took it in for its 5,000-mile thing. And see, way too much information. You didn't need to know that. Anyway, I'm in the Toyota
It wasn't
dealership,
quick enough, but
and this
it's
kid,
yeah.
probably all of maybe 19, 20,
Okay.
standing back there. Oh, he's big, tall, skinny kid, and he looks at me, and goes, you're, and I go, yes, I am. And and he goes, you're that lady on YouTube. And it's like, I don't want to go into, he's standing there waiting for me to be funny. I got business to do. So I go, thanks for watching. And I move on. Now, other times I will play with people. Like the bit is now, it actually happened. I got recognized in the laxative aisle at Walgreens, and they couldn't come up with my name. And so they did the you're. And I said, constipated. Yes, I am. I don't, that's really kind of the weirdest thing for me to deal with, when people actually recognize me. And I don't know if they're looking at me because I got something, do I have something? Is there something here? What are you looking at? That kind of thing. Or they actually recognize me. It's kind of fun. It's fun when my family's with me because they kind of go,
right. I understand that. What is she going to say next is what it comes down to, right? I get that all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not a comedian.
Do you?
All the time.
Good.
Well,
that's great.
What my friends say to me is I go anywhere and I try to make people laugh. I'll go in a line at a grocery store, and I'll speak to the person in front of me, behind me, or the person working, and I'll try to get them to laugh. And I say, if I can make you laugh, it makes my day. Don't you feel that way?
Well, I'll tell you something. There's such a great gift. That's really a great gift and basically you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it because we need to elevate. People need to elevate. We need to come together. This, and in the last, I don't care who you voted for or anything like that. You feel the division. There's a division in this country so terribly. Mm-hmm. And so, yes. And that's when I took that call center job, I thought I had hit rock bottom. I was sick. I couldn't do stand up. And I'm talking to people on the phone. And what I found was they needed to talk to somebody, and I made them laugh. And I saved so many bad calls by making somebody laugh and being able to get them out of their anger and into a place where I could deal with their problems. And so it's a gift to be able to do that. And more people should do that and not be afraid to speak to people in a line or smile. Just smile at people at the grocery store. Smile at people in your car. Just smile at them. Why be a threat? It's, you can flip somebody off with a big grin on your face.
Exactly. Well,
you don't have to be angry about it.
No, of course not. Of course not. You just got to make people laugh. That's all. I think laughter is so important, and you're an ambassador of humor. And people appreciate that. And I appreciate
Well,
you
thanks.
for being that kind of a person.
Well, thank you.
It's my pleasure.
I think I'm really lucky. I'm really lucky that this is when I chose this life this time. I guess I'm living my purpose. So
That's good.
I don't mind. I'm
That's
having a
great.
great time. And as I get older, I just say yes to things, which is why I'm having a new roof put on. Anyway, no,
tired of you trying
he
your
knocked
jokes
on the
on
door. No.
And he was
Thanks
cute,
so
right?
much. I've had a great time.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he
had a
was
great
darling.
time too.
Oh God.
And people can see you on YouTube. You have so many YouTube videos out there. Too much,
It's
right?
crazy.
Okay,
It's
this one's going to be
crazy.
on YouTube too, and it's going to give people a different impression of you. And the good news is it won't be negative.
Well, hey, good. That's good. That's good. But if you got something nasty to say, sure, bring it on. I got it. I got big, broad shoulders. I can take it.
Hey, I love
Anyway,
the
I have
conversation
to
with
just
you.
before I get up,
Yeah, sure.
I had a great time. Yeah. And I just want to say that I was dreading going to Florida.
Really?
But
Really? Why was that?
yes.
Because of politics or ages or just everything I'm just mentioning?
Pretty much the first one.
Okay.
Because I can't keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
I'm not something that has a lot of filters, but I was so pleasantly and lovingly accepted and greeted, and had a wonderful time there. And thank you for changing my paradigm with that, because
Well, I'm a stranger down here
I
too,
was
even though I've been here for 40 years. I have a shirt. I had a shirt made that says, I stand with Harvard. My daughter went to Harvard, and I had a T-shirt made that says I stand with Harvard, and I'd wear it to the grocery stores, and people would look at me and they would say something, but it was positive ways. They said, "Well, I voted
I
for
think
X."
we're
As long as they
well,
don't pull out a gun, I feel like
it's
I've made a statement.
you've gotten through the day. I think the switch is coming, and there's a lot of people in Florida that are not Floridians by birth. So
No,
but I had a great time, and I
that's
thank you
good.
all for greeting me with love and kindness. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
And it's my pleasure. And I look forward to you're going to let me know the next time you're any place near South Florida, and I'll come and give you a hug. Okay? Is that all right?
Okay,
Were you thinking about a
count on that.
hug?
Thanks
What
a
else were you
lot.
thinking about? Okay.
Yeah,
Bye-bye
sure.
now.
You can. You asked. You asked. No, just hugs. Just hugs.
You got
Bye
it,
bye.
Susan. Bye-bye.